upgrades and downgrades. Those analysts, they were busy here over the weekend. ExxonMobil upgraded at Goldman Sachs, and it is making a new all-time high this morning. So here it is. Finally, ExxonMobil looks like it's going to take out that huge $96 level. We are trading at 96 and a half on ExxonMobil.
Wow, the Goldman Sachs upgrade is what it took it to finally break out over this $96 level. Now it's kind of tricky. Do you wait for it to come back down to that 96? There was support, or do you just buy this thing blindly off the open with Goldman Sachs?
I That's hard because there has been some gap and goes here lately, and there's a lot of people that have been leaning on that whole $96 area. The big size was kind of took out though 5 trading sessions ago. So a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, the size might hold down the opening print, give you a shot to buy it. Thing opens at 96, and if it's trading 96 and a half pre-market, it'd still be good. But I think most of the size is done now. So I don't know. As this pulls back, you're probably going to have a few nervous shorts looking to cover. So I think anytime this gets close to 96, probably going to be some people scrambling for cover.
Right, 95, 92 was the high in yesterday's Friday session. So I guess it's just handoff. I'm buying this thing. If you had 96.50 here, anywhere in this area as a target, 96.56 is 96.60. Excuse me, is the pre-market high. So if that's your target on this puppy, take it and be happy with the trade. If you're trying to be more patient, you're short. Wait for it to come back, perhaps to the $96 level.
We were talking the pair traders haven't been happy with the ExxonMobil Chevron lately, though, because Chevron actually broke down again on Friday. It's had 3 horrible days in a row ever since putting in this triple top up there at 124, straight down for the next 3 days, actually. We were trading up slightly here on Chevron, but it looks like that spread is going to widen here once again today with ExxonMobil trading up significantly. Can't speak this morning. And Chevron only up 30 cents.
Right. And also, let's just go a little bit historical perspective on this one. I mean, if you look at well, we'll go to the monthly here. This stock, during 2013, just continued. It broke out to new highs. If you look at here, 2013,
Yeah.
where ExxonMobil here just it made it had that 96.12. I believe it did that one 2008 or 2009.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, and then that tick right there is a bad tick. But then for this year, while Chevron was breaking out to new all-time highs, ExxonMobil was just a laggard. So perhaps ExxonMobil is just playing a little bit of catch up.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Looking here too, we got Apple getting their price target raised at Jefferies this morning. It's trading up a buck and a half here in the pre-market. They're putting a price target of 650 on the stock here now. We did have a breakdown day there though, Joel. I know you were looking to play that breakdown through 560. It crashed and burned right off the hop, straight down 5-6 points after it broke it. Did consolidate around the 555, 556 area before closing at 554.43. Now we're up another buck and a half on this price target upgrade, or it's not an upgrade, but price target raise. What do you think's in store here for Apple today?
Well, this one I did. I always say I'm going to go out a week farther on my weeklies, give myself a little more time. Well, that rule lasted for about 2 weeks. On Thursday, there was just too many lows there at 560, and just too many bottom pickers there. It was like 4, 5, 6 lows. So I took a shot on the weeklies at the 560, and it did take it out early in the session. I really didn't see a lot of support in the 50 handle. I was hoping it was going to get closer to 550.82, which was the 10-day low. But when it went down to 53.83 and just started dancing around 55, I just had to take it off. It just did not look like it was going to be a washout day in the stock. Now the way I look at this from a technical perspective, you got some stock to chew through here at 560. So I
Yeah.
use that a lot. There was a lot of buyers there. It hasn't been able to get up there in the pre-market. 557.75 is the pre-market high. So I'm a little bit negative here on Apple until it can get back above that 560 level.
Twitter downgraded today. Whoa, that's outside the box. SunTrust Robinson downgrading the stock, and we are trading down $1.10 here on Twitter. It has been on the most incredible run you'll ever see. $42 the stock, was just 8 trading sessions ago, closed up at $59. So basically up, what is that, 40% in 8 trading sessions? So it's just been an incredible run for Twitter. It is pulling back a dollar here today, but when you put that in perspective with that run, I don't know if that's that big of a deal to the bulls.
57.75 has been the pre-market low. Just getting a little bit of a bounce off that. God, just kind of sitting there, 57.91. Boy, this is a tough one. I guess you'd have to just use the daily levels. And you got no mate. This daily chart looks like a monthly chart, doesn't it here?
It's unbelievable. It's just been straight up. It goes
And
straight up
why?
two, three
Why?
bucks every day, and starting to go parabolic here in the last couple of days. Because even look at just over the last 2 days. 2 days ago, 2 trading sessions ago, we're at 51 and change. Now we're 59. So I don't. They're trying to find value. They're trying to find out what this thing is valued at. And it's so hard with these stocks because they don't make money. But they've said that about Amazon for years. People are saying, well, it's eventually going to come back down to earth. Where we saw Amazon just continues to go higher here. So sometimes these companies that don't make money, they just have the growth potential, just continue to run. And the momentum has been on the side of the bulls here for Twitter for the last 8 trading sessions. It's getting derailed a little bit here this morning, but I don't know if this is going to turn over and cave and drop $5. I just
No.
don't see that happening because it's just so many people probably caught short too if you're trading this.
How was this the SunTrust Robinson analyst? How was he on the initial IPO? I mean, did he start out with a buy rating? Maybe we can have guys in the news desk because that'd be interesting. I mean, if he, called this thing in the low 40s or whatever after the IPO and the dip, that'd be real interesting. When I'm
You've
look,
also got Wells Fargo downgrading the stock here today too, which actually just broke at 809. So you got a double whammy here, Wells and SunTrust. So SunTrust downgraded them earlier, but Wells Fargo just after 8 o'clock also downgraded the stock here. So it's the old double whammy trick now. So I don't know if that's going to put more pressure on the stock here or not.
58 is a swing number from Friday, so I'd keep an eye. You got above 58, you get a little bit of a run. Now that it's trading down at over a dollar in the pre-market, I think I'd have to turn away from that all-time high of 59.41, and instead focus on that all-time high close of 59. If you get up in the higher 58, perhaps get some resistance there. Coming back on the downside, Dennis. I mean, there's nothing down there to 55.45, which is Friday's low. But I don't know. I just don't think it's with the spoos up 9. I just don't see them whacking this thing. Nine. Down $4 or $5. Then another $3 from here to get to the 55 level.
The Twitter run has really worked its way into Facebook here too, because Facebook has kind of started to go parabolic here too. Since breaking out over $50 just 3 trading sessions ago, it's now up at 53.33. So it's just up a penny here in the pre-market. But this has been an incredible run here for Facebook too. Twitter has led the way for Facebook though, so you wonder if and you're seeing relative weakness obviously in Facebook. It's only up a penny here, and the S&P futures are up 9. But you wonder if Facebook could turn too if Twitter starts to turn.
That S&P 500 boost last week, Dennis. That was another.
That was huge for
Yeah,
the stock
yeah.
too. Yeah, oh yeah, that helped huge too. But I mean, it has been going with the Twitter even before that because Twitter bottomed out. I'm just looking just here at the charts 8 days ago, and so did Facebook when it was down to 46. And then you had the rumor of the S&P, and then it tried to pull back, but Twitter kept running. It pushed it through 50, and then obviously on Friday the big move up was with the S&P added to it as well.
53.50 was a high from Friday with the S&Ps up 9 points. Haven't hit that level yet, so using that as resistance. If in fact it does get through there, you're getting up to the area of the all-time high, which was a triple top at 54.76 to 54.83. And Dennis, you'll surely remember that level, correct? When on the earnings when you took a shot at 55, shorting that puppy.
You're gonna make fun of me? You're gonna make fun of me?
No, I
I know
just
that's what happens. I guess you just gotta hold on after hours. Hold if you're down your trade, just hold on and it'll work itself out. It would have worked itself out well. Yeah, just so to recap, I basically thought that triple top was gonna hold after earnings because I would have pushed it up like $3, $4. I shorted around 55 before I could even, basically 10 seconds later the thing's up at 57, 58 on me in the after hours session. I'm like, man, that's a cool way to lose 3 points in about 10 seconds. So learning experience, note to self, do not throw out after hours orders on Facebook after it has earnings. Regardless, I was stupid, but here you are, traded 15 years, you think you can be a hero sometime. Well, that was just a dumb move. And the stock ended up covering, I think, around 56 and a half. So I lost about a buck and a half, and obviously never trade above there. Ended up going down to 50 or $49 after that. And I was like, wow, I just kind of traded that all wrong on that point. I always want to short the stocks when they're going down, not when they're going up. So I was timing was off by about 20 minutes and it killed me.
Chelsea's popping in here with Path, Path. That looks to be your big winner here, trading up 50 cents, 50% in the pre-market. It was even trading higher than that, traded above the 380 level of 386. Not all that familiar with New Path, Brent, Path. Is that, let me guess, it's a pharma stock that got approval for something.
Uh,
Close.
Brent,
Close. There's Brent. Brent's
Hey.
back.
Oh
Brent,
man.
Brent
what's
was
the news,
on.
Brent?
Was
Welcome.
Welcome.
They're getting purchased by Endo Health for 285 per share in cash.
So of course it trades to 345.
There's looks like there's some contingent value. It says for rights for up to an added 315 more.
Oh, okay. So, and I added three of
fifth.
up to 315 per share.
Yeah, so putting it over almost $6, I guess.
No, I don't. It's not
No,
what they're doing. I'm just reading this headline there too. In addition to the upfront cash payment, new past shareholders will receive rights to receive. You're right. Additional cash
Yeah.
payments of up to 315 if specified net sales of new pass migraine treatment Acuity are achieved over time. Well, this is an interesting merger. Read the footnotes here. Wow. So
you
they're
know
getting
what?
285 for sure, and they basically have a call option for an extra 315 on this thing.
You just gave me a headache reading that headline.
That gave me a headache too. This is Monday morning, so
Yeah.
bottom line, it looks like, and Brent, do you agree with me on this? It looks like they're getting 285, so that looks like that's pretty set. So that looks like the floor for the stock,
Yep.
obviously 285, and then it looks like just basically an extra additional, like it's like a call option thing. So right now, if you're buying it at 345, you're basically paying 60 cents for the upside of the extra 315, right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, I think you got it, Dennis.
Obviously, the street's not a big believer in that the added value. I tell you, that is
Well, it's
the
over time, so
yeah.
It
That's
takes a
that's
little
got to
bit.
be the funkiest merger I've ever heard of.
that's funky. Yeah,
I,
that's
I
interesting.
feel like with a lot of the pharmas, they get these kind of contingent additions possible.
They want to make sure one of their drugs is going to turn out here if they're getting
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
real
then
cash.
if someone keels over from this drug, then
Oh
Then they're getting
yeah.
285
yeah,
and sued.
yeah. I think I'll stay off this one.
All right. Lots other upgrades and downgrades there. We digress there for a minute, but there's some big guns here. Citigroup getting upgraded at Evercore this morning. Actually, Evercore is making a lot of calls on the financials here. They're upgrading Citigroup. They're upgrading Schwab, SCHW. They are upgrading Fifth Third Bank, FITB, and they are downgrading PNC. So they're making a few calls there on the financials. But let's start with Citi. It's getting the biggest lift here so far in the pre-market. It's trading up to 51.44 right now, went out at 50.97. Interesting chart here. We had kind of a little consolidation period for a few days just below 51, and now we're starting to break out here again. Joe, what do you think of this Citi chart?
Pre-market high 51.63, so we'll be keeping an eye on that level. That coincides with the high that you had on Wednesday at 51.65, so you are opening into resistance. I just wanted to, weigh in with, get your opinion on this, Dennis, with the passing of the Volcker rule. There was really some kind of, I'd say, overall negative tone in Barron's regarding the long-term effect of the Volcker rule on banking profits, and perhaps this is a sector that is not gonna grow. Do you think banks can get their profits from somewhere else? Do you have any banks in your portfolio that you might be lightening up on, due to the passing of the Volcker rule?
It's obviously this is going to impact. I mean, Goldman Sachs spinning off Ready too and doing some different things here to try to obviously get around the Volcker rule. And a lot of these banks are looking to position and possibly maybe even spin off some of their prop desks to get around it. The thing is, though, they give them a break and they say, well, market making activities under the Volcker rule are still allowed. Well, it's very hard to distinguish, very gray line between market making and prop trading. So, I mean, just because the Volcker rule passes, does that mean they're not going to be able to do any trading at all? No, they can still do market making. So, when
What's
you
the
really come,
difference? What's
well, that's just it. Well, how do you really define what is market making and what is prop trading? Obviously, market making, they're saying they're making, providing liquidity to the market, and they're not taking on strong positions. But a position can be made from market making as well. So it becomes very confusing here. What is the difference between market making and prop trading? And I think that's been the biggest trouble with obviously trying to get the Volcker rule passed here for years, is really how that's a very fine gray line there. So that's the issue with the Volcker rule, and I don't know if it changes it that much. As long as they're going to allow market making, there's still going to be prop trading.
so
It's just
what's all
kind
the
of all tied together.
so we spent all these years talking about this Volcker rule, and it doesn't seem, uh, it doesn't
It,
seem
it
like it make any difference.
I don't know if it's going to or not. As long as they give them the break on the market making thing in the long run, I'm not sure if it's going to make any difference here either. But obviously, maybe some trades can obviously be defined as prop trading. If you're accumulating huge positions or doing different stat arb stuff, maybe that's definitely prop trading. But I think, if I'm a bank there and I'm making some trades there and all of a sudden they're looking at them, like, I'll be like, oh, that's market making. So I don't know. I
Let's
don't
just
know
go
if it's
back.
going to make any
JH3
difference at
just
all.
popped in. He got in a little bit late here, and his sound was not working correctly. I think that might have been a user error over here. That huge spike down in the S&Ps, JH3, we have been searching to death, and we have yet to come up with a plausible explanation, except that someone was just knocking out bids here, trying to get a little break going, and they got it.
Bring up the chart for him again, just so you can see how quickly that did spike down on the E-minis. It was
Yep.
what'd you say? It was in the course of like 10 or 15 minutes,
Yeah,
really, that
this
it
is
had the big spike down.
Yeah, this is a 15-minute chart here, and it was a kind of a peculiar time. Sometimes you see when it opens up at 2 o'clock. Sometimes you see this kind of activity, or at 4 o'clock, when the equities reopen. But to see this at like 10:30 at night is highly unusual. I guess the only thing that you can, glean from this chart, if you're up playing this, is that after it had to spike down, it
Just kept
gave
running higher.
well, it gave. Look at that consolidation period here. After having basically a 13-point drop, you had a chop within 2 or 3 points. From basically 10:30, 10:45, all the way till 1 a.m. in the morning. So if you were, playing the consolidation here and the breakout from the consolidation, once we got back above 1761 here, it was off to the races. So. Still, I guess that's one reason if you have some shorts out overnight and you trade something like the E-mini and you have some targets down there, hey, nothing wrong with putting a bid, an OCO order in there and a stop, and then you wake up and get surprised instead of, going to sleep thinking you're sitting on a lot of profits and come back and see the spoos up 9.5.
Yeah, crazy reversal. It's been a 25-point change here, and I don't think this is just going to turn around. I don't know why. I just feel like it's been that steady climb all after hours here, and a lot of times you say, "Oh well, it had a 25-point down move. That's going to spook a lot of people when the
How about the
regular
close
session
right here, Dad?
starts."
At 1778 and a quarter. Would you take the over on the close today? We got to get one more wager in before I go. Then we could do
Okay,
it on the
so
close.
you just saying, are we going to close above 1778 and a quarter or below it? Is that what you're saying right now?
Yeah.
1778.
Yep.
I would take over on it. I think we're going to close above 1778 today. I don't know why. I just got this. Sometimes I just get a feeling, and I got a feeling that we're not going to give this back despite trading so weak overnight. And a lot of times, what I'll look at is when you've had a huge overnight washout like that, sometimes, when the regular session comes in, people get nervous. A lot of air below there, and they might end up selling this rally just because they saw what a huge overnight sell-off that was. But I just don't think so in this case. I feel like this market always wants an excuse to buy. I don't know what the excuse here is today, but they found one overnight. It was cheap. They came in buying, 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 and I think the buying might continue here a little bit. So yeah, I will take over
All
on
right,
the
we'll
over
just
on
go
that.
a lunch on this, a Potbelly's lunch.
I still haven't got my steak dinner from you,
It's just
so
been I've been so busy,
are you
Vaughn.
trying to downgrade me? So basically, if you win the Potbelly's lunch and I was owed a steak dinner, now I'm just going to get a Potbelly's lunch? Is that what's going to happen here?
No, no, I wouldn't do that to you. But
Uh,
got another question. Chelsea must be following these pharma stocks here because we have what's that? ACRX trading up 45 cents in the pre-market here. If Brent, you can dig up the news on this, perhaps a positive drug trial or something like that. Looking at
Close.
okay, look at that. I just know these pharma stocks. I should be like. I wonder if like Goldman Sachs is going to want to hire me to be a pharma analyst. What do you got for us, Brent?
I got Accelerax and Grunthenol announce a deal for Zalviso. Zalviso EU commercialization deal.
So is that a drug for Italian people?
Let me read the press release. I'll find out.
We got over $9. Got to nine, little over nine, 9.15. So we'll
Wow.
take it. Yeah, take a look at that. We pulled back to 8.65. I don't know if I'd be chasing this stock, but if it got back to the $8 level, had four lows between 777 and 779. That's major support. And if you're using the highs from back just a few trading sessions ago, that coincides with the pre-market high 911, 917.
Namura upgrading a bunch of hotels here this morning. They're upgrading HOT, HOT, which is Starwood Hotels. They are upgrading HST, which is Host Hotels. And they are upgrading Hyatt Hotels, which is H. All those stocks trading up here. Let's start with HOT. Looks like it could be a little bit hotter here this morning.
Well,
It's
wait a minute.
trading.
Was Hotel California on that list?
I did not see Hotel California on
Oh,
this
okay.
list,
All
so
right.
no,
All
the
right.
Eagles will be disappointed with that. But
Never mind then.
Hot is on the list here, 74.64 bid right now, close to 74.20. Look at all this resistance up here in the
Wow. Look
mid
at that.
75s, Joel. Are you licking your chops on this Hot upgrade?
Oh, no, Dennis. You've taught me. You just got to buy breakouts. But do you want out of the bet? We're trading at 77.50 here. Uh, no, look at that. I'd use that resistance over the $75 level. I mean, it's been up there. One, two, three, four. Oh my gosh, I can't even count the times here. So there's probably a big seller still there at 75. 75.45's been the high. I let it shake out here. I mean, that'd be up over $1, getting back up to that all-time high at 75.45. But I just wanted to, since we're talking about these hotels here, I was just reading over the weekend about the BlackRock here in this Hilton, and boy, I mean, I don't want to say they pulled a fast one, but they really made out well on this. They got the New York Fed to help them out. There was some renegotiating, some of the bonds. They beat a group of bondholders out to take over the company. And what's interesting is about this, Dennis, is they are not holding on to this thing. They have definitely got plans to cash out on that. Does that hurt your confidence in the stock if BlackRock is definitely using this opportunity to add to their coffers?
How do you know they're doing that? Did they say they're doing that?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's in Barron's. Yeah, they released some of it off some of their position off the IPO, and their plans are to book profits in this thing. I mean, they're limited on what they can sell over the course of time, but that's definitely is what their plan is.
What was the IPO price? Was it $20? Is that what it actually was? Brent, do you know? I think it was 20, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 20, and it's trading a
So,
couple bucks above
so
that.
it's trading a couple bucks above there right now. I mean, it's so hard to trade a stock 2 days after the April. We have 2 days of information here only. So obviously 20 is still enormous here. But only $2 really above where it IPO'd here. We're trading up another 50 cents here today. I'm not sure if it's trading up because all those other hotels were upgraded. Maybe a little bit of sympathy move here. But it's hard to trade something technically after 2 days of only trading data.
Yeah, it's making a new all-time high.
Yeah.
22.38 was the former all-time high, and then looking at the pre-market trading, we made a high of 22.60. So that's really the only relevant level to keep an eye on today.
Let's move on to a couple other ones. AMD getting downgraded at Oppenheimer today. I know some people like to trade these thick $3 stocks, or a lot of the rebate traders like to trade them because there's a lot less risk and stuff like this. But we've topped out multiple times, just around 375 here. It is trading down 4 cents here today, right near the lows on Friday. The low was 364.67, all this sub penny crap there. But regardless here, what do you think of the chart, Joel?
Still on support down to the 360 level, not moving a lot. So I'd keep an eye on 360 as your support point, trading down 4 cents in the pre-market. Coming back on the upside here, you had three closes at the 368, 369 level. So if you're looking to short this thing into a little bit of strength off the downgrade, take a look at that triple close there at 368, 369.
Also, Broadcom getting downgraded, Oppenheimer to BRCM. That stock's trading down about 13 cents right now. Remember, you're going to come in, you're going to say, oh, it's downgraded, it should be down more than that. But there's an S&P futures. We're up 10 points here. So that's putting upwards pressure on all the stocks. To couple that with the downgrade equals some of these stocks just kind of trading slightly down despite getting downgraded here. But this Broadcom had three tops, call it the three tops. They're up at 28.89, 28.90. Pulled back 2 days ago, had an inside day there on Friday. This needs to hold that low that we made though on Thursday, 27.83. Below that, it starts to open up.
I think that was good earnings too that propelled that over the
Is
28.
that what it was? I
Yeah,
remember we had
yeah,
some news, but
yeah.
my goldfish memory, I've already forgotten about that. So
I'd concur with you on that. We're trading a nickel away from Thursday's low, 27.83. Below, actually, we're a little bit lower in the pre-market. We got to 27.67. So I lower that parameter a little bit. After that, it looks pretty wide open. To get back to 27 or even under 27.
AIG in the news here this morning. Brent, can you hunt that down? It's trading up $1 right now. I think they were selling something, weren't they? Is that what
Uh,
was announced over the weekend?
While he's taking a look at that, I'll take a look at the pre-market
It's up
trading.
$1 right now in the pre-market. And it was trading over 51 earlier too, kind of getting this whole gap area there. But I'm just trying to hunt it down there too. Something they were selling for $3 billion. Lease Finance Corp or something, International Lease Finance Corp.
51 and a quarter is what you hit in the pre-market trading, pulling back of 50 cents. You are getting in this whole gap area till you get up to the 51.50 level. So kind of gapping into a gap area. This should be interesting. 51.43 was your low on October 31st. So we get back up to that 51.50 area. People that held it through that gap down maybe looking to exit at that level.
So AirCap is going to buy the International Lease Finance Corp from AIG for $3 billion in cash, and what do we got? Almost 98 million in AirCap shares. That's Alpha Echo Romeo.
AER, what is it
Yeah,
doing this morning? That's a stock. Whoa, I've never even looked at that one
it's
before.
it's
That
up
thing's been on
it's up
fire.
about.
Somebody was leaning. Holy cow.
Look at the charts from Thursday and Friday. This is
Somebody leaning the right way on this one, Joel. We talk about the
Oh
lean
my
straight
God!
up.
How do
Wow.
I would say that's more than a lean. 15% over 2 days.
On a stock that doesn't even move
Nope.
usually.
And
That's
that's up.
crazy. And
And
now
that's
it's
up
up
nine
here.
bucks.
It's up $9. Wow.
that's
AER.
not right.
Why not?
Come on.
That's not right. Like morally, ethically, you mean, or like the chart's wrong.
No. The moral. How can a stock move between 2080 and 21 and a half for a month and a half
Yep,
before that,
exactly.
and then you get this? I mean, come on.
2 days before you get it, pretty much too.
Yeah, I mean the memo. We did not get the memo. Why don't we get the memos on these kind of
Why don't we
things?
get the memos on this? Somebody did. I'm looking at the Benzinga Newswire from the 13th, which would have been Friday the 13th, and you guys issued an options alert. AirCap January 30 calls, 1,865 contracts trade at 30 cents. Somebody bought 1,865 contracts at 30 cents
Eh,
on the 30 Jans. So that's an
Oh,
interesting
they
purchase,
oh
considering the
they
stock's at 33.70
oh they
right
gave
now.
themselves to January on it, huh? They
They
really.
gave themselves they thought that was
Hey, you know what that tells you? That you got to keep your eye on that Benzinga Pro news feed for those
yeah,
options
you know
alerts.
what?
We
And
did.
remember the Jarian brothers, they always talk and watch outside options activity and stuff because yeah, if you're watching that, you see somebody accumulating, well, maybe they know something. I mean, you can come out and buy the stock just because you're seeing an options trade that's going off. And I don't know if that works in the long run because a lot of times probably you see these big options trades, could be hedges, could be different things. In this case, though, holy cow, man, somebody looks like they knew something because wow, that is a big
I would
purchase.
almost be afraid if they were in my account right now. If I did that trade on Thursday and
Have the
Friday, man,
have the
I
SEC come knocking.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're on a plane right now to Switzerland. I mean, they got out of Dodge, but that's unbelievable to see that kind of move. I mean, we always talk about the conspiracy theories. Who did we have in the chat room last week that was joining us in the conspiracy? Do you remember who it was?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
He'll be over this one. But taking a look at the pre-market trading, got above $35. hit 35.30. So I'm not sure where that all fits in with the merger or whatever, the takeover. But wow, incredible move when you see those kind of moves and the backed up by some options
Wow.
activity. It's definitely where I guess those are one of the out of money ones we didn't get a piece of.
No, we never get a piece of those ones. A few other ones just quickly to highlight. Moody's getting upgraded at Barclays. That's MCO. You've also, we'll just fly through these. Leap, LEAP, getting downgraded at Barclays. Is there any other ones, Brent, that I'm missing there? Some big guns. Just been kind of flying through them here.
I'm just kind of.
APC downgraded at Citi. Obviously, let's talk about the APC for a minute because that had
Oh yeah.
the crazy day on Friday where the stock was down $10 on that bad ruling there. And then it bottomed out. It basically just found a bid in the afternoon. 73.60 was the low. Actually bottomed out right off the open. They came in with their buying shoes on and they just kept buying the stock all the way up to 78.30. You got Citi, is that right? They're downgrading, but the stock's trading up another 70 cents. Is that right?
How about the people that were downgrading this on Friday? Yeah, because when the new I can't
Everybody
think.
ganged up on it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's just, I mean, the way I look at these kind of things, and I didn't trade APC on Friday, but I just look at the move going into the thing, coming off a cliff, off the $98 level, down at 84. You're trading, you're trading it from the short side, and then lo and behold, you get this kind of news. I don't know if there are people out there initiating new long positions, but why would you not, use an opportunity like that to short or to cover a short? Where else are you going to get, worse news in order to, to fade and to buy into it?
Yeah, I don't know. And it looked like it was overdone too, though, because when you looked at that, Brent, what was the headline actually on it? Was some ruling or something that they were going to be liable for cleanup? Is that what it was? The oil spill cleanup? Do you remember, Brent?
It was a takeover with Kerr McGee, and it was who's going to be liable for the cleanup, and it was from the company Kerr McGee, and it looked like it was like one executive they were blaming it on, wasn't it? It was going to be for criminal charges, if I remember.
It sounds about right, but I can't remember. I can't remember the value if they put a value on there. That's what I'm trying to remember.
If anybody tried to value what that could cost them, it was like, I'm trying to look at the headlines here too. Wasn't it like $3 billion or something like that? They were saying that it could be a ruling against them for, and that's obviously why they knocked the stock down so much. But a lot of times you see these one-shot deals where it's going to cost the company some money, but it's just like a one-time item in an earnings report too. It's not saying that the operations all of a sudden aren't going to make as much money as they have in the past. They're going to have to pay some money. So a lot of times those moves can be faded. In this case, it would have been a great fade. I mean, the thing got down to 73 and opened at the low 73.60 and it's been straight up. So I don't think this thing's coming all the way back to 84 here anytime soon. But I mean, if you bought it at 73.60, you got half those gains back or half the gap back in one day.
Yeah, you like to see the follow through. I mean, it closed right near the high. It opened near the low and closed near the high. So you like to see follow through. Then you're already getting follow through this 78.32 level. 79.70 is currently where it's trading. You look at the pre-market activity. You've been a little bit higher. You've been up to 79.39. But you got a long ways to go to fill the gap on the daily chart up to 83.50. I just want to weigh in here real quickly. A quick question from Joe. I guess Amarin Pharmaceuticals has a FDA decision coming up either today or this week. Not sure what the
I think
drug
it's
is.
Friday. Or no. No, it's later this week. It's not today or tomorrow, though.
Well, you're swinging your bat, right? You're 173, Dennis. You'll say yeah. If you
Sure.
buy it at $1.73, that's the most you can lose. If you're
Yeah, this is just a call option now
yeah,
too. I mean, you're buying this thing. It was $7 in early October. Obviously, there was some pretty bad news. I'm not sure what happened in October. If that
And
was,
there was a
speculation that
negative FDA opinion on the drug Vascepa, which is a super high dose of fish oil for patients at risk of cardiovascular disease.
you're all over that show. Good job.
I am all over that for
Yeah,
sure.
but the stock goes from $7 to $2. So obviously, a lot of people were banking on whatever that drug was being approved, and looks like there was some issues there with it back in October. So now you're sitting here, there's $1.72 left in this puppy. I don't know. There's an FDA's decision coming out. Maybe that can help to jump it again. But it's rare to see a stock go from like $1.70 up to like $3 or $4 here, just all of a sudden, because you got so many people. There's so much memory here. So many people that are caught, underwater in this thing. I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of this one.
Don't buy more, and if it gets bumped up to $5,
It's a lottery ticket. You're
yeah,
buying a dollar
exactly.
seventy-three. It's like
Before we
basically.
take a break, JH3, and I know you're going to run with this question, Dennis. Help him understand how a stock can have such huge volume and not move in price much. And he's referring to his good old stock, Sun Tech here. Dennis, I know you got an explanation for that one.
So you're looking at SunTech.
Huge volume, and it didn't
Yeah.
move.
Huge volume and it didn't move. Where are you looking at the volume? So I'm trying to
I'm
see what
looking
the
at the
volume stick is.
volume here on the daily here. It traded. I mean, it had a buck range on the 12th, traded 3.5 million, and then within less than a 50-cent range on Friday, it traded closer to 6 million, in a much tighter range. I mean, I guess you could say big bulls and bears squaring off here, or you might have had some high frequency traders identifying some big orders and just trading in and out ahead of them.
So we're looking at Friday's volume was actually higher than Thursday's volume. Is that what the,
Yep,
the issue?
yep, and it
And
was
why it didn't have a big move? Yeah, it could be some squaring off of positions there. I mean, just because you have huge volume doesn't mean you always get a huge move. What we used to say, and what we always like to look at is when you see huge volume on a move, it means the move has more impact. It means the move probably isn't going to give back as quickly because so many traders have traded and transacted at that price. So I don't know if it works in the reverse where you say just because a stock can have huge volume, it's going to have a huge move. Sometimes there is this squaring off. Sometimes it's just traders or institutions just dumping a piece, or even two institutions coming together, maybe even on exchange or off exchange, and just trading stock. So there can be a number of reasons for large volume, but if you have a big move on very light volume, we always say, well, be careful with that move because it might not last. If you have a big move on huge volume, that's when we say the move can last a little bit. So basically, like volume, I think Kramer's story says it's kind of like the lie detector for the move. And that's a good analogy, actually. If you're having a huge move and there's not much volume on it, that's why we're always careful in the pre-market too. Because a lot of these pre-market moves are on very light volume, and then all of a sudden the regular session comes in and it doesn't even trade anywhere where it traded in the pre-market because the volume was so light with the move. So I'm not sure if you can do it in reverse and just say that well, it's having huge volume, so it's going to have a big move. I think it's more if it has a big move and it has volume, that means the move's real.
just keep an eye on the double close 1146, 1147. Also Friday's high 1156. So if you can get back above and hold that level, I think the worst of it might be able to climb back into the 12 handle. Coming back on the downside, 1111 was the low on Friday. That coincides real nicely with the low that you had at $11, and that was going back in early November. You had a low at $11 even, so we'll keep an eye on that. Dennis, we're gonna take a quick break here, and we're gonna have Jeff Pierce and Karen Starich of Astrology Traders on. And Jeff is a momentum trader who specializes in market timing, and Karen is an astrologer who uses her unique approach to determine future moves in the stock market. So we're going to take a quick break and get them on the line and see what the stars are saying about the move this morning in the S&P futures. Welcome back, traders and investors. We have some very special guests on this morning. Jeff Pierce and Karen Starich of Astrology Traders. Jeff and Karen, how you doing this morning?
Great, thanks.
I'm doing well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, just real quickly before we get into the questions, could you just, Jeff, could you just give me a little bit of your educational and market background?
Well, I'm a self-taught investor. I've been trading since 1999 when everyone thought that they were a genius, and we soon found out how that went. And I went a full-time trader in 2004.
Okay, and Karen, can you tell us a little bit about your education and market background?
Sure. I have an education in communications. I have a degree from UC Santa Barbara in communications. The astrology evolved out of my association with some professional astrologers, actually. So that was in the early 90s. And then over the years, just dabbling with it, taking it a little bit more serious after 2008 and the market correction, and began writing publicly about what I saw and why that happened, and because I actually was looking forward then and seeing a little bit more of difficulty in the markets, landmines along the way, I guess. And so then became a contributing writer at Zen Trader with Jeff Pierce. And out of popularity and a lot of following that started to develop while I was writing articles on the public site, we decided to put together and launch Astrology Traders, which would be a subscription service based on astrology and technical analysis, and combine those two together to form profitable trades, to put together trades and analyze stocks, the bonds, gold and silver. We used to do quite a bit with gold and silver, not as much anymore. The bond market still, and then stocks. And so we've carried that on since 2011, so it's about 2.5 years now, and we love it. We've never missed a weekend update since we started doing it, so it's been an adventure.
Okay, Jeff, so you started out as a momentum trader, and you had mentioned the late 90s and stuff. So were you just capitalizing on the moves, kind of the early internet move stocks? It was kind of being a so's bandit? Was that your early approach to trading?
Well, my early approach to trading was it took me some time to really develop my own style. As I said, I pretty much had saved some money up, and I just kind of dove in, and I was trying to decide, am I going to be a fundamental trader? Am I going to try to analyze these stocks and determine what they're worth? And early on, I had subscribed some newsletters, read a bunch of books, and in my experience, I just found trying to really determine what a stock's worth, and then when you watch what happens when earnings would come out, stocks would fall when earnings were so good, and stocks would go up when earnings were so bad. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I really developed. It took some years to develop my own personal technical analysis style, and I've really, in my experience, found that using the chart is much more effective than trying to analyze fundamentals and determine what the intrinsic value is with the stocks.
Okay, now, Karen, you're the one that focuses more on the astrology. So, I guess what I'm trying to get a better understanding is your time frames. For trading. Obviously, you can't use the weather to day trade. How do you incorporate your time frames with the astrological patterns?
Well, astrology is complicated, and I think that's probably why there are few people who do what I do. It is my background in astrology was really, as I mentioned, learning from people who were, I feel, masters at astrology. And so I have developed a unique style which is based on the United States chart. And so I use the United States chart. There's a Dow chart. There's actually index charts, but then there's also the Federal Reserve chart. And so if you were to say that, all of the markets are like a family, the parents of that family are really the United States and the Federal Reserve. And so you have to, like you would look at a child's chart, you would go and look at the parent's chart to see how the life is of the child, because it's going to be predicated upon what's happening in the parents' lives. And so the Federal Reserve and the United States are the parents, and you have to really understand those two charts, because even though we could have a bullish stock or a stock that has just a real great astrology. I'll give Apple as an example, because even Apple was not immune from the 2008 crisis. So no matter how good a stock chart is, if the parents, the United States and the Federal Reserve, are being thrown off balance, you're going to have a market correction, and those are going to be subjected to it regardless. So they may still have good business structure, and they may still have good products, and they may still be selling those products, but they're going to be subjected to a market correction because of what's happening in the United States. So the United States is really the leader internationally, and so you have to really understand and really look at what is happening in that chart and know how to read it. And so we have, over time, I feel that I've been, actually history has shown, I've been very accurate at predicting in advance what that trend is going to be, and with that have been able to put together a general market trend, and then we can go in and we can find those stocks that are going to be best positioned to take advantage of that move. So if that makes sense. So I can see further out, like we looked at the markets for the year 2013 at the end of 2012, and was really projecting that we were going to see a very big market move sometime in February. And so after February, we did get a really nice bullish move in the markets, and so we were able to hone in on the stocks that were going, or the sectors that were going to do really well during that time. And so we've been able to produce some really fabulous profits.
I wanted to say, because I thought that was a really good question, because given that our service is 2.5 years in, after about the first year and a half, we really started gelling, because the time frames are pretty crucial. And sometimes you'll be bullish on something, and I'll be looking at the technical levels. And I mean, how many times have we gotten out of a stock because it's had a really short term, like let's say we're bullish on something, or you're bullish, like we're both bullish, but it's kind of moved further than what I think that it can sustain that. So we'll sell it out for a profit, and then we'll end up eventually buying back in. So we have adjusted our time frames to work together, but we'll also be trying to take advantage of short-term volatility, because I personally believe that long-term investing right now is not, it's kind of dead in my opinion. I feel like there's a progression that a momentum stock takes, and once that's kind of worked its way through the course, then it's time to take those profits and move on. And another thing that we look at with time frames, or how we incorporate it, is one of the main strategies that we use is looking for stocks that have been in long-term downtrends, but then something is trying to break that up from a technical level. And so one of the first steps is, because I look at so many charts each night, and I'm looking for certain key setups, I will then relay that stock. I'll be like, Karen, here's a stock that I think that you need to look at from an astrological perspective, because she will see if that bump up in the stock is something that can sustain. Karen, if you want to go into a good example of that.
Well, before we go into that, and I just, you said some really interesting things there, Karen, and you spoke fundamentally about, the United States and, the actions of the federal government. We have a new Federal Reserve chief coming in here, and you made your predictions at the end of 2012 that came to fruition in 2013. But I think what I want to know, and what all our listeners want to know, is, when is the Fed going to start tapering? What are the stars saying about that?
Well, that's actually a very good question, and I really do think that 2013 was a very unique year. We wrote a lot about this in our updates, and I really tried to convey the message that there are certain times in the markets where you can invest very freely and you can be more profitable than other times. Every year is not the same. Sometimes it's easier to be navigating the markets and be very profitable. So I think you can maximize your investing efforts at certain times and make more money than you can in other times. And 2014 looks troublesome to me. I know there are other astrologers out there that are suggesting the same thing, and I don't really read what other people write. I very independently do my work. And I will say that there was a warning this last week. And it's interesting because both the short-term and the mid-term timing signal for Jeff have both flipped bearish. The long-term is bullish right now, and so we
For the
continue
NASDAQ.
to be right. So we continue to be bullish in our what we are advising currently. But I do think that the first week of January, everyone is going to know there is a shift. It is a warning. I will tell you, it will be a warning, and I am going to just announce here that I think we're all going to see a shift in the bond market, and I would say January 7th through 9th, it will be clear as a bell. I would not be surprised if TBT breaks higher. And so when you're asking me about the Fed policies, there's an evolution in astrology, and so it's not just one thing triggers and it's just this one-time event, and then you move on. So there's what I'll call, esoterically speaking, karma. Decisions are made. The Fed takes actions that then, because if there's mistakes, what have you, it plays out at a later date. And so if we look back to 2008, I believe Lehman Brothers was orchestrated. There are, rumors, gossip that J.P. Morgan was involved in that. Whatever the case is, I believe that it was something that was planned and it was organized as an attempt to reorganize the entire financial order to create a new grand bargain. And so from that point then, which I warned about in October, I wrote an article on ZenTrader on October 27th, 2011, warning people because I saw Jim Cramer on CNBC in the morning on the market news, and he was basically admonishing fund managers and hedge funds and others for not being in the market. And my theme of that article was watch out, because I saw it, and it did hit one day later, and MF Global went bankrupt. And so that was not an organized event. That threw them off balance. That came out of left field, and I don't think that's over.
Okay.
And so in June, we had CFTC came in and made they were fined $100 million. And so I don't think that that's finished, and even observers are saying that it could be a few years before this really, truly, fully unravels. And I find that interesting because I think that whatever, and it's been hidden, we really don't know how much MF Global was worth or lost. And those people still have not recovered 100% of their money. It's the first time that's ever happened with a brokerage. And so what really happened then, and who all was involved? How deep in it was J.P. Morgan? And so in the next few years, it may not be labeled as such that what is unraveling has to do with that, but I believe that it does.
Well,
And
that's
so-
interesting thesis here. And Jeff, as far as you're more on the technical end of things and the market timing. What should long-term investors be looking for here? I mean, Karen's being very exact here. I mean, she's pinpointing things down to the first week in January. Are you waiting something a little bit longer term to come to fruition, or what should long-term investors be looking out for? We've had a tremendous run in the market here. People never like to take their chips off the table. What would be the trigger for you?
Well, I was just going to say that I have a proprietary timing signal for the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, and the TSX, and I really focus on that. And it doesn't forecast, long term. It doesn't really it really tells you what's going on in the now. And I kind of, it doesn't whipsaw anymore. So basically, I follow that, like what it's doing right now. And right now, last week, my NASDAQ flipped bearish, but my Dow and the Toronto Stock Exchange timing signals are still positive. So we're starting to see signs that the markets are breaking down, but that in itself isn't a sign to just basically bail out on all your longs and get short. In fact, how I'm personally trading right now is I'm removing some long positions that are underperforming, and I'm getting ready in the event that, and I'm not really taking on new long positions right now, kind of because we are in troublesome time, and this is traditionally a difficult time to trade because the markets get to be pretty volatile. Lots of fund managers start to go on vacation, and so December it is not really the best time to be extremely actively trading. With the things Karen sees coming in January, that kind of confirms with what I'm seeing technically, that it's time to become a little more defensive, and let's see where we go.
Okay, Karen.
I'll agree with that too. Yeah.
Okay, no, astrology. So I think I took one astrology class. I didn't do real well on it. So are you looking at like particular formations, in the stars? Are you looking at the sun or the moon or lunar eclipse? I mean, what do you specifically look for in the skies here for your analysis and your turning points?
Well, it's a combination of all those factors, and then sometimes it can be you drill it down, from the bigger the eclipse cycles, then you drill it down to the outer planets, and then you keep going closer in interplanetary moves. And so the eclipses set a theme, and we had an important eclipse just in October and then in November, and so the lunar eclipse squared the opposition of Pluto and Neptune between the Fed and the U.S. charts. So that was a very significant. That's like a warning of to the public that something is off, and there's a secrecy, and there are secret deals that are probably going on. So it was a warning, and so that eclipse is going to be activated again in the spring when another lunar eclipse will again make a square, a T-square to that same opposition from the other side. So we have Aries, and then we have Libra. They're opposite, and so this eclipse is going over that degree in activating this opposition. And so you look at that because it does suggest that there is something serious. But I want to qualify what I said earlier because I don't want people to freak out. There is something different this time, and like I mentioned, we are evolving. The United States is evolving, and so the people have, since 2008, people have reoriented their lives. They've adjusted. The middle class continues to thrive and continues to move on, and people are following their dreams, their hopes, and wishes. So there are some very good aspects within this sort of intense cycle, which is karmic, which is happening for the Federal Reserve and for the power elite, let's put it that way. But the people have moved on, and they are not engaging in that type of activity, and so they've saved money now. They've, deleveraged somewhat. I mean, we've heard reports about that. So with all of the, the Pluto-Uranus square, you're probably familiar with that since you've studied some of the astrology. We have some exact squares that are carrying out in 2015, all the way into 2015.
Okay.
And so there are serious things happening, but there's good things there too. And so it's being able to navigate that. You have to navigate it.
Okay, all right. Well, just to wrap things up here, we kind of heard your predictions a little bit for 2014. If people are interested in your type of analysis, integrating astrology with the markets, do you have any books that you recommend for them, or what's the best way for people to familiarize themselves with your theses?
I think to learn about astrology is wonderful. I really recommend, just going to, search on Amazon. Noel Till has some really good books out there. There really, in my view, there are not very many books on astrology in terms of market investing. The best, I would say, Bill Meridian has probably got some of the best material out there. He's also a professional. He works on Wall Street. So I think, starting reading, understanding the moon cycles, but to really, subscribe to our service. We talk about the astrology in the service, and you can even learn from that. you can pick up some of the basic points in astrology in the books, but I think once you're actually investing with it and using it or being guided with somebody like myself, then you can learn more. You learn by experience.
And Jeff, do you guys have a product on MarketFi now, or be coming out with one?
Tomorrow, we're actually launching. We've spent the last month with the onboarding process. We've been placing our trades live and in real time on there, and so that way MarketFi, they verify these trades, and we have 6 closed trades already. Five of them were up, and the average trade gain is 16%.
And what were the time frame on those trades?
Well, the time frames, they were all open and closed within the last 5 weeks. But we also have, I think, 8 positions that are still open. So I would say the average holding time can be anywhere from a week to, we have one trade that we've been in serious satellite for almost a year now, but that's uncommon. So I would say the average trade is anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months.
Okay, well, great. Well, you got that product on MarketFi. We'd like our listeners to check that out. Jeff and Karen of Astrology Traders, thank you very much for coming on. Karen, you're probably the only other person on Wall Street besides me that's a little bit bearish going into 2014. So we'll have to keep an eye on your predictions, and we'd really like to have, getting back into, after the new year, we'd certainly like to have you guys on again, give us a little update on your MarketFi products as well, see what happened that first week of January, the January effect. Let's see if the stars are aligning for the move that you're predicting. So thank you very much. Have a good trading day, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Bye.
Okay, we're going to move on now to Mighty Joe Young with this morning headlines.
Thank you very much, Joel. Thank you, Jeff and Karen, for coming on the show today. That was pretty neat, wasn't it, Joel?
It was out of this world.
Yeah. Nice, very nice. So moving into today's headlines from around the world, we have Sprint preparing a bid for T-Mobile. The Wall Street Journal has a report out that Sprint is preparing a possible bid for T-Mobile US in a deal that could be worth more than $20 billion. Shares of Sprint were up about 3% after the announcement on Friday, while shares of T-Mobile traded sharply higher in the final minutes of trade, gaining 3% or more towards the end of the trading day on Friday. Verizon is nearing a deal to buy Intel's startup TV service. According to Bloomberg, Verizon is said to close a deal to purchase Intel's internet-based pay TV setup. The deal may be announced as soon as this week. Lockheed Martin sees F-16 fighter jet production to continue through 2020. Reuters reporting that Lockheed Martin's order backlog for its F-16 fighter jet is healthy enough to keep its production line busy through the third quarter of 2017, and the company is anticipating its ability to get additional orders that would keep the line running through 2020. Procter & Gamble is set to reorganize overseas business units, Bloomberg reporting in a move to reduce costs at the world's largest consumer products maker. Procter & Gamble plans to reorganize its overseas business units, no further details attached. Stratasys is readying itself for an increase in commercial and consumer demand. The 3D printing equipment and materials manufacturers preparing for an increase in these demand markets, both commercial and consumer, according to the Wall Street Journal. Stratasys General Manager for Asia Pacific and Japan, Jonathan, I'm assuming it's Yaglom, said the company is looking to expand its business beyond prototyping and has employees in the region focused on manufacturing applications for its customers. Apple will have to compete for customers after the China Mobile boost. According to Reuters, Apple's long-awaited iPhone agreement with China Mobile may result in an initial jump in revenue, but then the company will most likely find itself in familiar competition with Samsung to win over customers one at a time. Wall Street Journal reporting that BlackBerry is losing 2 more executives. BlackBerry's executive vice president in charge of global sales, Rick Costanzo, will be leaving the company by early 2014, and Chris Wormald, who headed up BlackBerry's mergers and acquisition strategy, will leave by the end of December. And this is citing people familiar with the matter. Twitter is testing a nearby timeline for local relevance. Wall Street Journal says it looks like Twitter is testing out a new timeline for its mobile app called Nearby that shows recent nearby tweets. This would encourage more users to share their location and make the network more locally relevant, similar to Foursquare. This feature would also allow Twitter to give advertisers the capacity for more precise targeting, says the Wall Street Journal. U.S. corporate bonds attracting hungry investors. The Wall Street Journal reports that bond investors are showing the most confidence in corporate America since the financial crisis, underscoring expectations that the U.S. economy will keep improving as the Fed prepares to trim monetary stimulus. Purchasers of corporate debt are demanding the smallest interest rate premium to comparable government bonds since 2007. Demand has also put sales of new junk-rated corporate bonds in the U.S. on pace to surpass last year's record. Sales of investment-grade bonds in the U.S. this year are already at the highest ever, according to Dealogic. More movies than usual are expected to open this holiday season. Wall Street Journal saying a dozen movies are set to open at 500 theaters or more between December 12th and 25th, the highest number in recent time. Christmas is among the 5 highest grossing weeks of the year at the box office and has been as high as number 1 Total receipts in the U.S. and Canada are consistently higher than 300 million, while in the average week theaters collect a little more than 200 million. Still, people's movie time isn't infinite, and the surfeit of new titles could overtax even the most avid moviegoers, reports the Wall Street Journal. So, Jake, I guess we would be contributing if we went and saw Wolf of Wall Street on Christmas Day, huh? Yeah, Jake's nodding his head. Verizon pressed to upgrade network as video booms. Wall Street Journal saying Verizon has had to spend millions of dollars more this year to upgrade its network, the result of online video traffic. The cell phone carrier long enjoyed a reputation for having the country's most robust network, but now it has been caught off guard by the onslaught of data traffic, contributing to what its executives have acknowledged as a performance decline in some key cities. Let's see, Amazon. Google has acquired Boston Dynamics. Terms have not been disclosed. The Boston Globe had a report out that Google acquired Boston Dynamics, which is an engineering company that has designed mobile research robots for the Pentagon. Where's my Amazon headline here? Amazon.com giving customers 9 months to pay for HDX tablets. All Things Digital says over the weekend, Amazon.com began allowing its customers to take 9 months to pay for HDX tablets in an attempt to increase sales of the device, according to All Things Digital. And if you'll recall last week, the statistics came out that Kindle owners on average spend about $400 more on Amazon.com than non-Kindle users, and the difference was something between $800 and $1,200 annually. JP Morgan is to ban staff from online messaging. A report last night explained that JP Morgan will ban its staff from using any kind of online messaging other than email. And that's a report from the Telegraph. Instant messaging was used by bankers involved in rigging LIBOR and exchange rates, the paper adds. Notebook supply chain expects strong December orders. Digitime says the notebook supply chain expects to have strong December orders as vendors are readying extra inventories to avoid a potential supply shortage caused by the Lunar New Year holidays in January 2014. Digitime cited sources from the upstream supply chain. And with that, we will send it over to what happened on this day in history. Let me see here. Ooh, in 1978, December 16th, Cleveland, Ohio becomes the first major American city to default on its financial obligations since the Great Depression. And on December 16th, 1985, Paul Castellano and Thomas Bilotti are shot dead on the orders of John Gotti, who assumes leadership of New York's Gambino crime family. And on December 16, 1989, U.S. Appeals Court Judge Robert Smith Vance was assassinated by a mail bomb sent by Walter Leroy Moody, Jr. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, Options House will give you 150 commission-free trades if you sign up for an account just by clicking one of the links on this page. This show would not be possible without our dear friends at Options House, and as a result, for listening to the morning show, they will give you 150 commission-free trades just by signing up with an account from listening to Benzinga's pre-market info. That wraps it up for today's headlines, and I'm going to hand it over to Shaky Jake for the pre-market morning movers.
Thanks a lot, Joe. Going to get you guys a couple of the movers in the pre-market this morning before we hit that open. We do have Twitter was moving to the downside this morning. There was a report out from Robert Peck over at SunTrust Robinson Humphrey saying that he was going to downgrade the company as they have hit the price target. Despite the fact that shares were rising higher this morning, so Twitter has a little bit more material news, primarily coming from the analyst area over there today. Shares down was at about 2.3%, so they kind of bounced off that $60 level. I guess on Friday they closed. Was that flat at $59? Was that really the right close on Friday, Joel? Was that $59 flat? Is that where they closed?
Yeah, that's right.
On the dot.
Yeah, it hit 59.41 and then peeled back a little bit. I mean, if it hit his target, hey, congratulations. If he was in this thing, it was long. It hit his target. He's taking his chips off the table. Not sure if that turns into a shorting frenzy here. Things are kind of weak in the pre-market. We just made a pre-market low at 57.58. We're just sitting on the low, so really not a discernible buy pattern here. Just a major run in this thing over the last week. I mean, if I'm sitting short on it, I guess it all depends on where you're short. In order to get into yesterday or the range getting into Friday, you need to get all the way down to 55.45. I don't know if it has enough momentum to get there today, but just be keeping an eye on the pre-market low here right before the 9:30 open to see a possible support point in Twitter.
Another one I want to take a look at this morning is Cubist Pharmaceuticals. Another one of those pharma stocks on the move. That's Charlie Bravo Sandy Tango as a ticker for anybody following along with us. They did report some positive phase 3 results on their drug. Here we go. I'm going to try and go for the name. Is a ceftolozane, I believe is what it is. It's an antibiotic, and there was an announcement on November 25th. This is just a headline. The trial had hit its primary endpoint, but we didn't actually have the results. Apparently those results were positive. Shares briefly spiked above $70, which is pretty big for Cubist. They closed Friday at 62.78. Shares kind of fell below that $70 level. I'm seeing them up almost 9.5% at this point, close to that $69 level. Joel, I know that this is a pharma. They trade like crazy, but now we've got the news, we've got the fundamentals. Now it's onto the technicals and the craziness that's going to happen throughout today's session. So what do you think about the chart?
Did trade over $70 to 70.45 in the pre-market, peeling back a couple bucks off that level, finding support over the last half hour at 45 minutes at 68.70. So I'd keep an eye on that level. If in fact it can't hold that 68.70, might start to drift a little bit lower. Looking at the daily chart here, it got up over 72, had a move down to 62 and change. I would have a hard time holding on. I mean, you're getting a nice pop here up to the $70 level, almost back to the top. You got to be thinking if you held it through that serious decline here, just dropped $10 within a couple weeks. I think some people might be looking to dump those long positions.
Another one I want to take a look at this morning is just crazy. USEC, Uniform Sandy Uniform. We've been watching this one for a couple months, ever since July. I think it probably popped on just about everyone's radar at that point when that stock went from just over $2 to over $29 in a period of under a month, and then seriously sold off since then, hit around $10. This morning we're seeing it back down to around $3, heading right back down to where it was at the beginning of July after announcing they are filing Chapter 11. This stock is nuts, absolutely nuts. Now, what's interesting to me is this stock was around $9 before they announced the Chapter 11, and then it's down over almost 65%. but it's not down like 90 or 95% like I would expect on a company that files Chapter 11 saying that they're going bankrupt. So I don't know what's going on exactly here, and from what I've seen on Twitter, nobody else seems to exactly know what's going on. But this is definitely an interesting one to take a look at. Joel, any thoughts on this USEC here?
What sector are they in?
They're like it's like plutonium It's a it has to do with the nuclear industry. A global energy company, a supplier of low enriched uranium for commercial nuclear power plants.
Well, if you could touch on a subject that I know any less about, I'm not sure what that would be.
Well, we can make a pop culture reference here. Don't you recall in Back to the Future, the first one, when he goes back to 1955 and Marty's like, hey, all we need is a little plutonium. We can travel. And Doc Brown's like, I'm sure in 1985 plutonium's available in every corner drugstore. But it's not.
It hit. Who was in? GGB was in here, and he's asking me if I got any buying ideas on a bankrupt stock. I don't know. I'd say it hit 302. Actually traded lower that in the pre-market. You traded under the $3 level. Traded at 276. So if you could, couple of ways you could approach it. You could buy it here, and if it goes under 276, you might want to bail. Or you could be really choosy and try and wait to see if they do push it down to the pre-market low 276, 280, something like that. Perhaps take a shot on it on the long side. Just looking at the resistance here, holding up since really since 8 o'clock this morning, 7:45, 8 o'clock. Once it got near the $4 level, it struggled, made a couple highs at 383. So it's nothing I'd be holding on real long term though. When there's rumors of bankruptcy, it's not a good thing. But the other thing that is not at zero or trading at a half a buck or a buck. So
I mean, it's not like the equity is secured by debt or anything like that. It's the equity holders that are always left holding the bag first. Well, at least in most cases for this Chapter 11 filing. So I don't know. Very interesting to see how that works out. I mean, maybe there's some kind of assets there that traders are seeing, or maybe it's just sheer insanity on Wall Street's part. That's we've seen that before. Another one I want to take a look at is Sprint and T-Mobile. There's been a lot of chatter between these two, so I want to kind of hop into that. We did have CNBC's David Faber reporting this morning that T-Mobile and Sprint are not holding talks about a possible merger, although that has been in some M&A chatter the last couple of days. We had a Dow Jones report on Friday, just before the close, that Sprint had bid for T-Mobile, and it could come in the first half of 2014, and had a potential of facing antitrust issues. So there's kind of a bounce back and forth between Sprint and T-Mobile. T-Mobile's ticker being Tango Mike Uniform Sandy. So I definitely want to kind of dive into this one. Joel, what do you think of these two? I mean, another major possible merger between these companies. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to me.
It was announced, the T-Mobile caught a bid here and traded up to 28.10. We're $1.10 off that level here, so use the $28 level as a potential exit point. Since the news turned a little bit negative, you're finding some support at 26.60. So that 26.60 support is major. You wanna be looking at that. Obviously, things spiked on Friday ahead of this. I think I would just have to let this sort out and see what eventually happens. Obviously, if a stock's in play, playing the short side of it cannot be very rewarding.
I want to hit up some of the M&A this morning. We did have way more mergers and acquisitions than I think anybody expected on the street. It's definitely surprised our desk. Obviously, being M&A Monday, you do get that happening, but you wouldn't expect these teams to be this active going a week before Christmas. But we did have a report this morning that AIG has sold its International Lease Finance Corporation to a company called AirCap for $3 billion in cash and 97.56 million AirCap shares. Now, here's what's interesting. Both companies are trading up on this. AirCap holders are loving the acquisition, and AIG holders are rewarding the company for selling off the asset. AIG above 50 bucks. AirCap was rallying real hard this morning. Last time I looked, AirCap was up almost 35%. Is that what that? Yeah, almost 35% last time I looked. AirCap is Alpha Echo Romeo for those following on their own. It's definitely a huge acquisition here.
Yeah, and we also had talked about the nice little run up on Thursday and Friday from
Mm-hmm.
22 well over 24. Also, Benzinga Pro identified a large call, January 30 call option trade in that, and that's pretty very good trade for someone on those calls. I'd be taking a look at this AER. Spiked in the pre-market higher than this. It actually got to in the pre-market got over 34 bucks, traded up over 35 bucks, traded up to 35.30. So if it does go back into rally mode, that would be definitely an area 35. But since the opens, it's opened here at 9:30. Made a 33.58 open with a 79 high. Seem to be drifting back down here a little bit. So perhaps some people are taking some profits on this. AIG, let's see how this is trading today. Being construed as good for both companies. AIG is trading up in the session here. Trading up 87 cents. Traded higher in the pre-market. Traded up to 51 and a quarter. Uh, Opened up near the $51 level. 51.04 was a pre-market high, but during the regular session, 50.94 has been the high. So perhaps a big seller at 51 here, looking to exit AIG on this favorable news.
Another one I want to take a look at. I know we did just have the market open, so I'll hand this over to you in a second. But Lumber Liquidators just saw an upgrade from Goldman Sachs come across the wire on this one, upgrading them to a buy rating and bumping that price target up to $112. Lumber Liquidators currently trading almost at 94 bucks on a rally this morning. I know they've come up in the news a couple times recently. Ticker is Lima Lima for those following along on their own. Shares are up almost 5% on the news. Jill, any thoughts on this one?
When Goldman Sachs comes out with something that's a good idea, as evidence here in the Exxon Mobil now breaking out in new territory, it'd be best if you want to sell it, perhaps wait for another day. It's trading up $5 here, boy. This thing, I never realized this thing was this volatile. The pre-market traded higher than it, making a new highs from the pre-market. 94.80 has been the high in the session. Uh, Really nothing. This thing had a terrible day going back 4 or 5 sessions ago. So really nothing in no formal resistance to talk about until you get back over the $100 level. But might take a few more days to do that. Coming back on the downside, made a quick low at 93.17, and you got a little pop off of that. So, if you're trying to protect profits on this upgrade here, 93.17, if it breaks below that, you got a gap down to 80.98 to fill.
And with that, Joel, I'll hand it off to you so you can broadcast for the market open. I know that we did have markets open up real quick there, so I will hand it off to you and Brent.
Okay, taking a look here. Dennis is getting a little jump on me here. He was looking for a little bit of follow through off this rally. I was a little skeptical here with that huge overnight range, but we have smartly popped into the 1780 handle, and folks, there is not a lot of resistance here. I guess you just have to take a look at 1785 level as a possible resistance point. Leading the way is ExxonMobil. Goldman Sachs upgrading the stock. It was a breakout. Actually opened fairly close to that major resistance level at 96. Opened 96.28. 96.13 low. So good for you if you were buying that thing off the open. If you're waiting it to come back to 96, looks like you just missed it. But that stock is now in uncharted territory. So ExxonMobil leading the index higher this morning. Also, Apple Computer upgraded this morning. We had talked about the $560 level as resistance. Only got to 557.24. Now kind of going back towards the close. We did trade below the close here, so we'll just be keeping an eye on shares of Apple here. Also, other stocks that are moving this morning. We'll take a look. Johnson & Johnson sold off hard last week, but favorable piece in Barron's. It's got them on a boost here. That happened to open right at the low, 91.42, and that's off to the races here as well. Google recovering some ground here, traded back down to the 1060 level. Getting a little pop here in the session, trading up 735. Just taking a look at the Twitter downgrade. Boy, they didn't. Some people use that as an opportunity. Opened at 57.86, dipped another 40 cents, but has ripped and turned north. We'll keep an eye. A possible resistance point for Twitter could be the all-time high close of 59, and then the all-time high 59.41. Shares of Facebook also trading higher this morning, taking out Friday's high. Let's take a look at shares of Facebook, how they're trading, getting up near the $54 level. Facebook has not been up this area just right before earnings. Had a triple top between 54.76 and 54.83. That's still another buck away from here, but that could be your potential resistance point in Facebook. Moving on here, let's take a look. Let's see how that, what was that, USU is trading here. Boy,
Don't look at it. You're going to be scared.
What is going on with this thing here?
I've seen that. I guess it wasn't halted for a little while, or excuse me, it wasn't traded for a little while. It looked like it was halted right after the open, and then I see an open at 9:33. So there might have been a bit of a backlog on the orders there. There might have been a bit that was going on that we weren't seeing.
Well, obviously the pre-market low, and when Jake was talking about that, I had noticed that the pre-market had traded down like only 70, less than 100,000 shares. It knocked it down. Now it just after hitting under $3 has been on the rise here. I guess you didn't get a chance to buy it at that pre-market low under $3. If you were taking a shot off the open at $4 here, you got a little bit of profit in it. Perhaps move your stop up here. You got a ways to go to fill the gap up to 856, but sure it's going to take a while to decipher the news on this issue. Twitter $1.50 rally, now positive. Got over the $59 level, 59.15. Keeping an eye on the all-time high at 59.41. I didn't get a chance to mention this on the show here, and we are trading up from that level, but Berkshire Hathaway has found some excellent support here at the 114 level. Closed right on it on Friday, and couldn't get much of a pop, but are getting a pop here today, trading up 36 cents. A little bit weak to the way this overall market is trading, but let's keep an eye if it comes back down to that 114 level. It's been real good support for the stock. Tesla approaching the 150 level. I believe it got upgraded last week, and it's kind of been sneaking up. Kind of getting into an area where it whooshed down through after the earnings. So if you're shorting this thing between 150 and 160, just remember there's not a lot of cover there. And really in that 10-point range as it gapped down through that area. ExxonMobil, when's the last time you saw that thing up $2.60 here? Made a high at 98.24, peeling back some, but definitely that Goldman Sachs upgrade was enough to get that stock moving sharply to the upside. The laggard on this one, Chevron Corporation, CVX, only trading up 30 cents, so that upgrade has not not spilled over into the other big oil stock.
Last time Goldman upgraded Exxon was March 14th of 2011. So you might actually have to go back to early 2011 to see this kind of action.
Wow, that's a great move for it. Who knows? Go to $100, right, Dennis? Apple getting a bounce here, coming up here on the 560 area. That was an area of major support here all through last week and the following week, trading up $5. We'll see if the 560 level will provide any kind of resistance in Apple. Other issues here to keep an eye on here. Twitter did sneak back up over that all-time high close at 59. Got right in between the close and the all-time high of 59.41. Finding a few sellers here at 59.19. So we'll see how this $59 level holds up for Twitter on the heels of a downgrade by SunTrust. Any other issues traders are looking at in the OptionsHouse room that you'd like us to take a look at? Would love to do it for you here. We're coming down the last few minutes of the show. Nice rally in the morning, coming off a big overnight range down to 1054, and the bulls are firmly in control this morning. No major resistance in the 1780 handle, so we'll just see how long this morning momentum will carry us. Coming 5 minutes before that first 15-minute high, so be keeping a close eye on that. Sun Edison, big volume day on Friday, moving through yesterday's highs here, perhaps trying to sneak back up to the $12 level. Taking a look at some other issues that we covered today during the show. What were some of those pharma stocks? One was ARCX. Was getting a boost. No, it wasn't ARCX. What was
ACRX probably.
Okay.
That's Accelerex Pharma, right? Is that the one you're thinking of? Okay, good.
Yep. That is continuing with the momentum here, trading up above the $9 level. Pre-market high in the issue was down at 880, so we've taken out that level, trading higher above the highs that we had in early December. Perhaps the next resistance point will be the December 4th high of 946. We got to 938 so far, so keep an eye on the 946 to 950 level. After that, it opens up to the $10 level. Had a 999 high on December 3rd.
How about Cubis Pharma? This is another one we talked about. That is CBST, Charlie Bravo, Sandy Tango.
Let's see how that is trading. Stock has been a yo-yo here based on those trials. Traded over the $69 level. Opened at $68.97. Got a quick pop up to $69.44. But we are now trading down below the open here. Not a lot in here between the $67.52 low and the high from Friday that you had at 63 and a quarter. So perhaps this is one where investors sitting on some losses over that big decline are using this news to exit the issue. And was there one other pharma one? We talked about Amarin, but that decision.
I don't think that was the one you're thinking of.
That doesn't come to the end of the week. That stock's just sitting dormant here at the 170 level.
Are you thinking of Solta Medical? This is another M&A. It's SLTM.
SLT. Oh no, the other one that I'm thinking of here, and we could scroll back to the chat room. What was that? The one that had the caveats in there about the price as far as
yeah, I think so.
It was going to be contingent.
Yep, that was the one.
Oh really?
Yep.
Okay.
It's Valiant Pharma. That's VRX is buying Solta.
Okay. VRX. See how that stock's reacting. Got a spike up here right off the opening print from 107. Let's take a look at. Now there was another one.
There was another one?
Yeah. Scroll up to see what
Okay.
Chelsea asked. It was something about it was worth like 385
Plus the 4 whatever.
Yeah,
That wasn't the one. You're right. I'm looking
yeah,
at it right now.
It was based on the sales. Let me see.
It was. I'm scrolling right now, actually.
You're scrolling through the OptionsHouse chat room here. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it was a path.
Yes, that's it.
There
That's
we
right.
go.
Okay.
Sweet.
P-
Problem solved. New path. PATH.
Okay. Path higher so far for shareholders.
We should look at the other one there, Endopharma. That's the guys that are buying her. Excuse me, not Endopharma. I think that one's Endo Health. That's ENDP. ENDP.
And P.
See it up about 0.5% right now.
Yeah, this stock has a lot of support here at the $94 level. Let's see how it's trading in today's session. Opened up. Has kind of had a buck range so far. Be keeping an eye on the 63.70 to 63.80 level. Had a couple lows there back at the end of the Wednesday and Thursday. S&Ps continue just to move higher here, folks. Up 100. Well, the Dow's up 173 points. The S&P's up 16 and a quarter. Short scrambling for cover after that brief sell-off that we had last week. So we'll see where the dust settles here. Don't have any major resistance in the 1780 handle. So we'll see how it works out for today. Folks, thanks for joining us on the broadcast today, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.